guys, it's Lily, and this is the first in a series of videos that I'm planning on various different planner systems and what I think the pros and cons are of each of them. So I thought that I would start with ring planners because I have been pondering ring planners for a good few months now, and I've had a kind of interesting journey with ring planners over the last year. So basically, my history with planners, which some of you have already heard, is that I always had bound planners and occasionally spiral bound planners. I was never a ring planner person. And it's interesting because I've seen other people in the planner community on YouTube comment either I'm a ring planner person or I'm not a ring planner person. And I think that this is one of the major divisions. Between morning people and night people, not in a bad way, because the planner community is always very tolerant. But I think that this is it's an interesting phenomenon that you get where, there are people who just kind of feel intuitively like they can't do rings, and other people rings are for them. So yeah, I was never a ring planner person. I'm not sure what it was. I never liked the look of them. There was something about the aesthetic with the rings that kind of reminded me of a school binder, I think, because throughout school and university, I always used, the 2-ring binders where you just put loose paper in. That was always a system that I used, and it reminded me of that. And then also I think they kind of had very businessy connotations for me. I'm not sure why. None of this is really rational, but it was just never something that I gravitated towards, even though I was always a stationery nerd and I always loved journals and notebooks and blank books. I was just never into the ring planner idea. Another thing is that I'm left-handed, so I think that maybe I didn't give it too much thought, but I think I just assumed that the rings would get in the way. So that kind of continued until relatively recently. About a year ago, James got a Furry Facts, or maybe it was 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years. It was 2 years ago, actually. James got a Furry Facts, a ringed Furry Facts. It was an Apex as a birthday present. And he had apparently, unbeknownst to me, he'd always liked Furry Facts and always wanted to have one. So I was quite surprised by this. And when he got the Furry Facts, I was kind of okay. And then he said, oh, maybe you could get one too. And I was like, no, instantly. I was like, no, I don't like the rings. And then he said, well, maybe they have something else. So we had a look, and that was when I found the Furry Facts Flex, which I instantly was like, that is for me. And that was when my whole planner addict journey began to unfold, because then we looked on YouTube and it kind of went from there. So we started obviously watching videos, and a lot of the videos on YouTube are of ring planners. So I got to know all the different makes and the different types of Furry Facts and see lots of setup videos, which I really enjoyed. But I still never felt like that was for me. I never thought, oh, I want one of those. And James had his ring Furry Facts, and he really liked it. And I kind of just didn't get it. And I didn't really look into it too much. I didn't know all the differences between what a dashboard was and what a divider was. I didn't pay that much attention because it was kind of like watching a wildlife video, or maybe footage of, a satellite expedition to another planet. It's interesting, but not really relevant to your own life. So that I think continued up until about maybe May. And I remember that I went to Paper Chase, the stationery shop, and there was this ring planner, this one, an A5 ring planner, that somehow just kind of jumped out at me. And it was because I really liked the design and I liked the color. And for the first time, I think because I'd only ever seen, Furry Facts that were kind of just one color, and I hadn't paid too much attention to, the sort of exact design. They weren't ever something that interested me. But this time I was like, oh, I really like that. And I remember thinking but how could I like that? That's a ring planner. What would I ever do with a ring planner? And then I phoned James and I was like, I really like this planner. What should I do? Should I buy it? And it was actually quite cheap. I think that they were normally these are £20. And I think it was reduced. So it was maybe 16, which is pretty good. Paper Chase planners are not the finest quality, so that's something to do with it. But still, it was not that much of a commitment. So finally, I think the next day I bought it, and then I was really excited. And I was like, oh, I have this ring planner, and I kind of felt like, oh, I've gone over to the dark side. And what am I going to do with it? And so when I opened it, I was like really excited to see all of the inserts and like, oh, the dividers and, you know, all of the different like tabs with the different sections, and you had like the to-do lists and the notes pages and, you know, the different calendar layouts, which was something that I hadn't really ever experienced with bound planners, because with the bound planner, you know, you just get it and it's like you've got your different calendar pages and that's it. And so there was nothing to organize really with a bound planner, whereas this was like, oh, you can arrange these in all different sections and you can, you know, make your own headings. And fortunately, James already knew about all of this because he'd been using a ring planner. And so he was like, yes, and you can make a dashboard and, you know, you can have all of these different sections. And so I think I took to that idea, and that was really like kind of opening Pandora's box, because then I ended up buying all of these different ring planners basically over the next couple of months. And I mean, you can see in my videos, because I've made videos about all of them documenting this terrible planner debauchery. So I then got this one. This was the next one, still an A5, because I kind of always felt that I was an A5 person as well as a ringless person. And then I got a domino. And then I got another domino. The original purpose of this was to cut up a file of facts and put it in this. And by then, you know, like I was really into watching all of the different videos and like the different types of planners. And so I sort of was going through all of the vegan friendly ranges of file of facts, which are very easy to get in the UK. And I was getting them from Amazon, which is usually much cheaper. And the sort of side benefit of being a vegan planner is that you always are kind of limited to the planners on the cheapest edge of the price range anyway. So you can never really spend too much on one planner, which is good. And then I found out about the Love Doki, and that got added to the stack. And then I branched out and I went into personal. This wasn't the original one. The original personal size that I got was actually a paper chase one. It was the same design as this A5, and it was because they were having like a clearance sale. But then it was shortly followed by this one, which I started using as my personal planner. So by this time, I was using these ring planners for all kinds of different things. So there was one for our home planner, and then I started using one as a personal planner. And then I was using, like, I had one for our dogs, and one was a meal. This one was originally a meal planner. And yeah, so I had all these different ring planners. So I kind of went overboard. And then when One Book July came, I like kind of streamlined, and I turned most of them into storage binders and just kept the personal planner and the home planner. And then after a while, I decided that the personal planner was too big to carry around with me along with my work planner, so I downsized to pocket. So I think I've kind of experienced a good range of ring planners, and so I just wanted to talk about the likes and dislikes that I discovered over the months that I was using them for all of these various things. So I think that there are a lot of cool things about ring planners. And one of them, as I mentioned, is that you have all of these different sections. So they're customizable, which is really cool. And if you're used to bound planners, then it's quite a novelty that you can say, like, okay, I'm going to have one section that's to-dos, and one section that's reference, and one section that's this, and one section that's that, and a section for gratitude, and a section for contacts. And you can just change them around. And if you decide that you don't like having the calendar in the front, you can put it in the back. And this was something that didn't occur to me for a while, because when I was getting file of faxes, they came with inserts, and I was just using the inserts, like kind of setting them up in the order that they came in the file of fax. And it was only after a while that I thought, I don't have to have the diary at the back. I can put it at the front. And, you know, like, I don't like these pages. I'm going to take them out. And so that is quite liberating, because you can really just make whatever you want of it. So that's kind of exciting. And then if you decide that you don't like it, then you can completely change it, and, you know, no harm done. No one would ever know the difference. Another fun thing about them is that you can easily decorate. Not that you can't decorate bound planners, but because it's all detachable and you've got these different sections, it's kind of like, you know, sort of perfectly ready-made for decorating. So you have, like, you know, the fly leaves, which you can decorate easily, and then you have the dividers. And so this was our, well, it still is our pet binder. So I made like one section for tails and one section for panda, and they just like kind of asked to be decorated. Whereas I feel like bound planners and spiral bound planners don't really sort of call out to be decorated in the same way, because they don't have these different sections. So it's like, you know, you just have a book, and you know, it's kind of like, this is where it starts. You could put a picture here if you wanted to, and then it's all just the same thing. So it's not like there's anything that obviously says decorate me. Whereas I think with ring planners, it's there's a lot of scope for decoration. Another thing that's nice is that you can make things like really easily. You can make things like pockets. You know, so if you think, oh, I don't have enough storage space, like say the dominoes. The domino, I think, is like a fantastic line, but it doesn't have a lot of storage space. It only has this one front pocket and then one back pocket. So you can say, never mind, I'll just put in 5 top-loading envelopes, and then I'll have tons of space for storing whatever I want to. And that's, again, something that can be done with bound planners, but is a bit more difficult. Whereas, you know, these are just set up for it. You can put whatever you want in. And then the same goes for storing documents. So if you get like, you know, a letter or a bill or something, you can just punch it and put it in. And then likewise, you know, anything from journaling cards to, you know, like kind of motivational, any kind of like decorative stuff, you can just punch it and put it in. Like list pads, you can, you know, like cut them down and put them in, and you can even cut up a bound journal and put it in. So like with the Hobonichi, you know, if you wanted to have like kind of the flexibility of the system, but you liked a particular type of inserts, then you can put them in. So I think all of that stuff is really cool. Another thing that's nice about them is that you can try various inserts. So basically you've got the binder, and then it doesn't really matter what you have inside it. So if you decide like, oh, like say Facts, I think, you know, the Facts inserts, I don't really like them. I don't think many people do. Like the paper quality isn't very nice. The designs aren't really nice. So you can just think, oh, I don't really like them, and I'm going to replace them with like Line Life inserts, say, which is what I did. They're in here at the moment. So if you have like, you know, you can get inserts that have really nice paper quality, and there are quite a few now, like Inkwell Press and Lime Life, and, you know, like quite a few other planner companies that are making versions of their spiral bound planners specifically for people to put in ring binders. So I think that like that's, you know, it's really nice that you can try all these different inserts, and in a way you kind of don't lose anything, because if you decide that you don't like some inserts, you just take them out and replace them with others, and it's not like you have to throw away the whole thing. You've still got the same basic system. You're just replacing some of the inserts. Another thing is that there are a lot of really cool dashboards and dividers and things that you can get for them. So James actually made this. This is from his shop. This is a dashboard, and it's again like really easy to put them in because it's like they're designed for that. So I think that's another thing that I really enjoyed about them. Another thing that's nice is that you can easily thin them down and get rid of old inserts. So if you've got some, you know, like if you're carrying around a lot of stuff and you realize that you don't need half of it anymore, you can just get rid of it, and then your planner is instantly a lot lighter. And by the same token, you can easily add more pages to the same section. So if you have like a to-do section and you run out of pages, it's not a problem. You don't have to budget for like, you know, sort of ration your pages like you might have to do with a bound planner. You just put some more in. It's also easy to use like kind of different, you can use different colors of paper. So you can say like, for this section, I've got this color of paper. For another section, I've got a different color of paper, both for color coding purposes and like, you know, just to make it nice to look at. And because you can like kind of reorder the sections and the pages, you don't really have to worry if you make a mistake. So like if you put a page in a section and then you realize that that's actually not where you want it to be, you can just move it to another section and it's not a problem. And then also you could just take your whole like kind of set up on the inside and transfer it to a different binder, and then you'd have a whole new sort of look, while keeping everything else intact. And also, like, kind of, you know, from a sort of planner addict perspective, if you're buying binders, the binders never expire. So it's like, these are obviously not dated. So it's like you can have a few different ones and not worry that, you know, you're wasting your money because you're not using them. They come with, well, depending on where you get them from, like Furry Facts comes with inserts, but at first I felt bad about getting rid of the Furry Facts inserts, and I would always try to think of a use for all of them. And then I just thought, you know, like, this is just not, like, I'm really buying it for the binder. I don't even like the inserts. I'll just put them in recycling, and it's okay. So yeah, that's another thing that I like about them. And then another thing, like, these are two small things, but I also really like the fact that it's very easy to add planner charms to them. They're almost like kind of perfectly designed for that, because they've got the rings, and you just, you know, stick a planner charm, like a, you know, key ring on the ring, and then you have a planner charm. So that's cool. And that's something that I'd never had before with bound planners either, because you can do it with bound planners as well, as I've since learned, if they have a bookmark. But this is just really easy. And again, it's very easy to change them in and out. So if you have one charm, you can remove it without too much trouble. And then finally, something else that I like about them is the rulers. I think that the Popout rulers are just so cool. And that's something obviously that I never had, you know, before I started my experiments with ring planners. So I think there's something very satisfying about being able to snap the ruler in and out. And yeah, that's just kind of another cool thing about ring planners. So I have had a lot of fun with ring planners, and I think that they do have these great qualities, which is obviously why they're so popular. But then we get to the cons, and obviously this is just personal to me. So, you know, like, if you love ring planners and you don't think that these things are problems, then, like, you know, please don't take offense. I'm just saying, like, this has just been my experience. For one thing, yes, I was right with my initial suspicion. The rings make it really hard to write. I think this is not a problem limited to left-handed people, because I've seen or heard other people on YouTube that are right-handed, like, comment on, like, how sometimes the rings get in the way. But I think it's a particular problem if you are left-handed, because the rings, like, kind of, if you're writing, basically it doesn't matter where you're writing, the rings will get in the way. So it's only if you're writing on the sort of left-hand side of the left page that you're all right. And then as soon as you get over here and the whole of the right page is just like impossible, well, not impossible, but it's very frustrating. So that's one thing that for me, I felt like using a ring planner on a daily basis, like as a planner, was just inconvenient, and like almost like I'd rather take the pages out, which is kind of impractical. When I was using a ring planner as my personal planner, so in the personal sized one and then the pocket sized one, I generally use stickers for the calendar pages, which kind of made it a bit easier because you could write the thing on the sticker before you put it in. But then for anything like to-do lists or YouTube video ideas, you know, I was writing directly in it, and it was really inconvenient. So that was something that kind of made me feel like it's not really for me, because, you know, that's the whole point of it, is that you want to be able to use it and you don't want it to be an inconvenience. Another thing is that, like I mentioned from before, my kind of previous ideas about ring planners, is that I do still somehow feel like, although you can get a lot of really, really beautiful binders, like this one I think is, you know, like, it's gorgeous. There's something about the rings that, like, I just still don't like the rings, and I don't know what it is. It's something about the look of it. It just doesn't, I think because part of what I like about planners is that they feel like books to me. And, you know, kind of like, I don't know, it's like having your own spell book or something, or like, you know, book where you're recording your life. And these just still remind me of school binders, like, no matter how beautiful they might look. And I do really like a lot of them. So there's something about that which, like, I don't know what it is. I can't explain it rationally, but my friend, who also is quite a planner aficionado, but like only does bound planners, she always uses Moleskines. And she was saying, like, kind of a couple of months ago, that she was thinking of switching because she felt like she needed more space. but she didn't want it to be too bulky. And so obviously I first suggested Hobonichi, and she thought that like the A5 size might be a bit big because she travels a lot. And then I said like, well, you could consider ring planner. And she was just like, no, I won't do rings. And I was like, I totally know what you mean. There's just something, I don't know what it is. It's like, it's not rational, but it's just this feeling of like, I don't like the rings. Another thing, and this is a really big thing for me, is that I don't like this feeling of just having a lot of like loose pieces of paper. Again, it goes back to this idea of like kind of your planner being, you know, your book where you kind of like are on this journey and it's recording your life. And I like the idea of being able to like kind of take it, not only to be able to take it and archive it at the end of the year, which you can do with a bound planner. You just take it, put it on the shelf, and that's it. It's archived and you can keep it as long as you want. Or even if you don't want to keep it, because I always used to throw my planners away at the end of the year. It is somehow, it's like it's a unity. It's like you have a whole book there, you know, that gets fuller and fuller as the year goes on. And then you kind of have something to look back on. You look back over the year and you're like, oh, like, you know, look at what I was doing in January. And, you know, that kind of feeling of how it's like kind of growing with you over the year. Whereas with a ring planner, I guess partially because you can have these different sections and then you can thin it down and like add new stuff. It seems to me like it's quite common for people not to keep the whole year in all at once, just like because otherwise it would get bulky. And so like to me, it's like, okay, I have these inserts and then I'm going to take them out and like put them in another binder for storage. And then I have the rest of the year in here. And then I know that there are ways to archive it. I'm not saying it's impossible to archive a ring planner, but for me, it just somehow feels like it's not a unity. And I like the idea of having this, you know, like a book, basically. It's like, it's not a book. I think it comes down to that again. It's just like kind of a random collection of papers, which can be a good thing because you see all of these different happy scrappy inserts. They all have different designs. And so like, that's fun because, you know, in the same year, or, you know, even in the same week, you can be using all of these different cool designs, which you can't do in a bound planner, unless it's sort of like pre-printed with designs like the Kiki K diary, which I sort of covet. Although I really, really can't think of any use for any more planners this year, sadly. Yeah, so that was another thing that I kind of felt sort of more and more as the months went on. And then another thing is that like if you do want to keep stuff in, because it's sort of like up to you how much you put in it, I've had this happen where you get it like so that it's so full that it can be difficult to take things out. And like obviously you're not supposed to keep them that full, but you know, it can happen. And so like if the rings kind of, if the paper goes beyond the rings, then if you have stuff in the middle, it's okay. But if you have stuff at the end, it can be difficult to take them out without like a lot of pages falling out and having to put them back. And then obviously the rings sometimes can have problems and, you know, there can be gapping and stuff can get caught in the rings. So there can be like technical issues, which again, you don't really get with books, like which are very, very simple. This has like a little bit of technology involved, which can go wrong. So yeah, I think those are what I felt to be the cons, and those are the things that kind of led me to the position where I am now, which is that I really, really like them. And I'm so happy that I have the ones that I have because I've ended up just using them as storage binders. And I think that they work perfectly for that because, like I said, you can put anything in them and you can take it out. So I use them for things like, this is the Furry Facts, which is for Tails and Panda, and it's all stuff that I was keeping anyway, but now I have it like a nice binder to keep it in. So it's stuff like their medical records, you know, like their insurance details, their vaccination records, you know, like kind of, yeah, vet bills. That's basically it. And then I have the vet information, and like, so it's only for reference. And before I kept these like in like this kind of, you know, just like a paper folder that the vet gave us. So it wasn't very nice. I didn't like going to it. I didn't like if I had to look for something in, and I didn't like having to get it out. And now it's in this. I know exactly where it is. It's beautiful. Like if I have a new bill to add to it, I'm very happy to do it. I just punch it and put it in. I know exactly where to put it. It's all there. It's all organized. It's kept safe. I've got it ordered. So it's got a section for Panda and a section for Tails. and that's it. But I don't actually use it for, you know, like kind of actively. It's just for storage and reference. Same thing with this. This is for all of my bank stuff. So like, you know, checkbooks, which I never use anymore, but like paying in envelopes, like most of my bills are paperless, but my credit card bill, for some reason, they haven't made paperless. So like anything like that, kind of anything bank related, I know that it goes in here. And like, again, I used to have these in a big like accordion file and I couldn't find anything in it and I hated checking it. And now I know exactly where things are, and I know, you know, if I need something to do with the bank, that it will be here. And if I get a new credit card bill, I just put it straight in here. And the same with this one. This one is all stuff to do with our flat. So, you know, like, yeah, bills and invoices and like all of that kind of stuff. And then this at the moment is storing spare inserts, which is something else that you get, I think, with the binder planner system, is that you often end up with a lot of spare inserts that then you need another binder for. So this is all Happy Scrappy inserts from when I was getting the A5 Happy Scrappy kit, and also Lime Life inserts, and I'm not sure what to do with these. I'd like to find a use for all of this paper, but at the moment they're just here. And then these ones, so this was once my personal planner. Well, both of these were my personal planner, and this had the Hobonichi in it. These are all storing my stickers. So like, again, I think that these are perfect for sticker storage, and I'll show my whole sticker collection and setup in another video. But like, again, it's because you have the top loading envelopes, you can just keep things, and you can like punch things that can be punched. You can put things in the pocket. So it's a perfect system for that. And I just use these for like kind of, this is like my sticker library. So the stickers that I have like on the go are in my planners, but this is just storing the rest of them. And I really like having them in this, because before I had them in a bag, and so, you know, again, it was hard to find things. And here, like, I can just open it, it's easy, I know where everything is, it's perfect for that. And I've like kind of I've kind of basically phased out all of the ring planners that I was using as actual planners. So like sort of the one remaining one, which was a planner, this is our home planner, has now been de-ringed. You can see, ta-da! Because I really like this design. I like the binder, but I didn't like the rings, and so now it's housing a spiral planner. So yeah, that's like kind of my ringed planner journey, I guess, over the past year. I've sort of gone from no ring planners to lots of ring planners, to then like sort of going back towards no ring planners, but being really happy to have ring planners to use for storage. And I think that for me, that's what works the best. Yeah, because of all of the reasons that I've mentioned. All of those, I really like the pros, but I feel like the pros for me worked best as storage systems, and the cons just kind of made it so that I didn't really want to use them as my everyday planners, despite the fact that there are things that I like about them. And I'll talk more about those issues in the other videos, the upcoming videos in this series, about, you know, like issues of like customization and decoration, and how I kind of achieve that balance and take some of the things that I've learned from experimenting with ring planners and, you know, apply them to bound planners and spiral planners. So I hope that you found that enjoyable, and I'll be back again soon with another video. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!